Hey guys, thanks for going on this nerd journey with me. If you want your episodes ad-free, go to makemeanerd.com/join and hit that button.
Hooked on you, baby, you're golden. Time moves, I never noticed. Just can't get enough. Got me wonderstruck.
Hello everybody and welcome to Make Me a Nerd 2026. We are recording this January 2nd, so I'm still in my New Year vibe. What is Make Me a Nerd, you ask? Excellent question, listeners. Make Me a Nerd is my journey into the world of nerd culture that I've been afraid of my whole life. I am a mainstream mom. I'm currently addicted to Taylor Swift. I declared her as my religion the other day. This is happening simultaneously whilst I'm exploring sci-fi, fantasy, comic books, and movies that everyone loves to quote, loves to talk about, loves to obsess over, that I have never really understood. And I still don't. My guest today is a dear friend and not somebody I would classify as a classic nerd. We can get a little into it, but he is an editor for film and TV, and he is married to my best friend, Meg Isser. It's Dave Isser, live from Ashland, Oregon, bookstore owner, Bloomsbury bookstore owner.
Hi, so happy to be here with you.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, here's my assessment, and I've been meaning to tell you what I think of you for many years.
Yes, let's hear it.
Yes. I would not call you a nerd at all, but I would call you a hobbyist, like someone who gets into something, reads about it, explores it, gets passionate about it. It might not always stay, but I do think of you as a nerdy person about hobbies.
I like that. I like that distinction. I've never thought of it that way, but I think that makes a lot of sense. I was thinking of myself as like nerd adjacent, maybe.
Yeah.
But because I have like moments where I'll be honest, I played a little Dungeons and Dragons in middle school. It happened, which, you know, if there's
Thank you for your honesty.
Yes. I'm very vulnerable. Yeah, and I do have certain things that I get into, and when I get into them, I really get into them, as we'll find out today. And I have a few things like that, like my Tintin collection, and my but I'm not a classical nerd, and like I never got into Star Trek or some of these. Like I'm not a huge sci-fi reader. I enjoy it from time to time, but if I really get into a book series or I really get into a TV series, I'm really in. Game of Thrones and other ones.
And currently you're into running and you're into the outdoors and camping and all of that stuff. And you don't do it casually. You don't just say, heck, I'll give it a try. You dive in with all your heart and soul to these things.
Yes. In fact, behind me is all my skiing gear that I'm using to I ski up them and ski down them, which is, but I've never thought of it as a nerdy thing. But I guess there's maybe an element of it's certainly a hobbyist.
It's the approach.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the approach that's nerdy, not the thing itself.
Right. Yeah. No, it's true.
You're not casual. When you like something, you're not casual
That's
about
true.
it. You're passionate.
I am a passionate person.
Oh, also, acapella.
Oh, right.
Pretty nerdy.
Right. Yes.
Right? I mean, Pitch Perfect made it cool, but
I did it before Pitch
nerdy.
Perfect. So
yes.
Yeah, that's definitely
I know.
definitely a moment. And not only I sang for Off the Beat, which was at the time like one of the top college a cappella groups in the country, and we had a bit of an ego about our group because we felt like we had sort of established the modern feel of a cappella, which wasn't like your barbershop, but like actually singing real popular songs.
Right.
And so I think that only adds to it a bit.
Nerd. Okay.
Well, that's it. You established it. The show's over, right? It all builds to that moment when you can call me a nerd.
I made you a nerd. Mission accomplished.
I'm like a yellow belt nerd is the way I think of it.
You are nerdy about the Big Lebowski.
I am. Yeah. Yes.
Yes. As are many, many, many people. When did you first see it? Do you remember going to the theater or renting it or at home or
I'm trying
journey.
to remember the first time I saw it. I know the first time I saw it was with my dad, and I think it might have been actually at home. I don't think it was in the theater. So Big Lebowski released in 1998. And I do remember the first time I saw it, I was very excited because this was their follow-up film, the Coen brothers' follow-up film to Fargo. And everyone loved Fargo, and it was so incredible. And I was like, these great directors. And of course, I knew Raising Arizona, and Barton Fink. And the first time I saw it, I was so confused and I didn't like it. And
Really?
I did not. And I was like, what did I just watch? And there was like a couple of funny moments.
Sure.
But I was like, what was that? But I don't know, maybe it was like a year or two later, somewhere in there, I found myself not only talking about it with friends, but kind of strangely reminiscing about it. And I was like, how did this thing pop into my head that I didn't even like? And I was like fondly reminiscing about this movie that made no sense. And so I went back and watched it, and I really enjoyed it. And that started a series of rewatching and rewatching. And I don't know how many times I've seen it, but many. And I can quote it left and right. And what I discovered in the process of going back to watch it was that it's an incredibly rewatchable movie. And I actually kind of think that for a lot of people, the journey is sort of similar. It's like you don't love it on the first watch. It's when you go back for it and watch it again and watch it from a different context and watch certain characters, it starts to develop this love.
But why? I'm a black and white person. And if I don't like something, it is rare that I'll say, well, but let me do it again. That's just rare. So I admire that you thought, I didn't like it, but let me, I mean, again, I guess this is what I'm on this whole journey for, because I've always said, I don't like sci-fi. I don't like fantasy. I don't like these culty, weird movies that everybody nerds out about. Not for me. And here I am.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think one thing is, like, I didn't have kids yet. I had a lot more I was in my 20s. I had a lot more free time. I was smoking a lot more weed. And it was a fun thing to go back to. I mean, and that's not something that was uncommon. I mean, I watched the Royal Tenenbaums multiple times. I watched Fight Club multiple times. These are all, I'm just giving you.
You're naming all movies I haven't seen.
Really? Okay. Well, these are future episodes.
I know.
So I definitely I had a love of film. I had a real respect for the Coen brothers. So there was the idea of rewatching a movie wasn't a crazy idea like it would be now, where it takes me like 3 days to even finish a movie. But what I loved about it, I mean, honestly, everything. I think the Roger Deakins cinematography is gorgeous. I've never seen bowling look so interesting and beautiful and kitschy and fun. I love the performances and the understated performances. I mean, Philip Seymour Hoffman in this like subtle little role is so incredible.
The way he pronounces dude is the way he just over enunciates and standard RP. And
if you watch him,
he's the only thing I remember about when I saw the movie in the 90s. And obviously, like the dude and White Russians, I remembered those things. But I sat down to watch it again and I was like, I don't remember any of this. And then Philip Seymour Hoffman came on and I was like, that's all I remember. He's just
incredible.
Leaves a mark.
And there's, I mean, one thing, I mean, and we might get into this, is like when I rewatch, a lot of times I'll rewatch like just focusing on Walter or and one of the rewatches I've done is just focusing on the Philip Seymour Hoffman character, Brant. And there is this subtlety in his acting where when he reacts to something, before the words come out of his mouth, he'll like make some facial reaction and then the words will come, like every single time. And it's so brilliant. And just the subtlety of what he's doing.
Well, now you're making me want to watch it again.
So there's a lot of subtle details in the performances, in the language, in the visuals that make it a very rich text to return to. And I think that's part of it. I love like the rhythm of the dialogue and the way the conversations happen.
I want to talk about the dialogue and the language and the word choices, because I do believe the Coen brothers are genius and choose everything very, very carefully. But this movie feels like a ripoff of Mamet. And I don't mean ripoff like in a terrible way, but they really chose to use his style. So much so that I was Googling, like, did he write the original draft or did he come to a pass at this script? It said no. But
I'm not. I don't know
are you
Mamet
a
super
Mamet
well.
person?
I've seen a couple things over the years, so I wouldn't know. But tell me more about what kind of stuff.
Well, that's my
Mhm.
nerddom is theater, and Mamet he uses repetition, interruption. You know, classically in his movies, it's like someone says, "Do you see? Do you see? Do you see? Do you see? You're not seeing? Do you see?" And
Mhm.
that was all over this movie. That
And
that
is that something you
feeling.
like?
Um, People interrupting themselves all the time. I like it in certain situations, and in some of them, I, it's
Mhm.
like Mamet for Mamet's sake, where I'm thinking they could
Mhm.
have gotten through that whole frickin' sentence without interrupting themselves 14
Right.
times and repeating themselves 14 times. So I'm mixed. I'm not like a Mamet freak, but I do happen to know a lot of his stuff. And that I wanted to know, there's a scene, Walter is so fascinating and
It's a good
uncomfortable.
description.
Um, oh, with Larry, I wrote, there is so much repeating of lines and dialogue. It's at its worst with Goodman at Larry's. What do you think it is? Why do you think they chose to write
Well,
this movie this way?
it's interesting specifically with Walter because I feel like he's such a specific character. He has this like crazy drive that motivates him to just get upset about everything throughout the film. And I think like specifically with that Larry scene, um, it's about him being wrong. And
Mhm.
there's something ridiculous in its own sake about yelling that this is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass at the top of his lungs in a neighborhood, which is in itself really funny, but that he's continuously saying it and so convinced that this is a consequence when he's wrong. And I think
Yes.
it emphasizes that. A quick aside. So this is a very famous line. This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass. Because when they rebroadcast this on television, they dubbed this line and it became one of the
Right.
most famous like redubbed lines because it was redubbed as
Redubbed.
this is what happens
Tell
when you
me.
find a stranger in the Alps.
I mean,
Zero
that
sense.
makes 0 sense. Sometimes they can get close and they can make,
And so
get
it's
their point
become a bit
across.
of a
That
famous
makes
line
0 sense. That's funny.
just for that sake, which is pretty hilarious. But I find in general, speaking of the interruptions, I find it very real. I find like because I think that's kind of the way people really talk when,
Yeah.
especially when they're in groups, they're just jumping in and jumping out and not hearing each other and not always listening and there is like a lot of not listening that happens in this, which I think is like
Mhm.
strangely real. I really enjoy that part of it.
It's just it's so heightened that it takes something that I agree with you should be grounded, because we do interrupt ourselves mid-sentence and we do repeat things, but it does it so much that it ends up feeling really
Hmm.
heightened and
Mm-hmm.
stylistic
Mm-hmm.
rather than
Yeah.
grounded.
For me, it's like there's a rhythm to it that is so, as like an editor and a musical person, I love the rhythm to it. Like those scenes when the dude, Walter, and Donnie are sitting around and they're just going around and Donnie's kind of jumping in.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
the rhythm of those is so, I find it like so beautifully. Like it's like almost like a verbal choreography. I think it's amazing. Like my favorite one is the one where the dude quotes Lenin, like the former Soviet leader Lenin, and not John Lennon, who Donnie keeps saying, "I am the walrus. I am the wall," and it's like it's so brilliant because they could have been like, okay, he thinks it's John Lennon, so he's saying John Lennon, or he thinks it's John Lennon, so he keeps saying the Beatles. But no, instead he keeps saying, "I am the walrus," as though he's like making this astute point, and it lands so well for me because that's the part that feels real. It's like he thinks he's making this incredibly smart point, and he's just totally off base.
And I know many, many men who love this movie. Do you know any women who love this movie? I'm just curious.
Yes, over the years at costume
In your
party.
support groups and such?
Probably, yeah. I mean, definitely it skews male. I do think that I've met more male fans of the movie than female fans, but I do know quite a few female fans. I mean, I think it's definitely one of the easier access points for me for the movie was like I was smoking a lot of pot when I first started watching it. And so in those circles of people you smoke pot with, I think there were men and women who just loved the movie.
It must be different. I mean, I have never smoked pot and watched this movie, and I tend to not, with the rare times I smoke pot, I can only handle a dumb comedy. I can't even follow a story of anything else. So I don't think that would work for me. But the movie is so immediately masculine and aggressive with when the guys break into the dude's house and they put him in the toilet, the swirly, then they piss on his rug, and the language. And all of it to me is so unchecked aggression is what I wrote. And then Goodman calls it unchecked aggression, like in 2 scenes later. It's so uncomfortably on the verge of real violence all the time. And that is not a place I'm comfortable being for 2 hours. I think a lot of women do feel that way. And I don't mean to be gender specific, but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so do you like mysteries?
I love mysteries.
In general?
Yeah.
You love mysteries. And what about Raymond Chandler?
Not a huge, I don't know much about it. I'm not a huge noir person. I know this was a nod to that. But interestingly enough, in my research, she says, as she licks the tip of her pencil like it's 1940, right? So, okay, this was the essential quote that I found. Because I wrote, it's over halfway through and I'm totally lost by the plot. So I started looking up on Wikipedia, and it said the film is loosely inspired by the work of Raymond Chandler. And Joel stated, "We wanted to do a Chandler kind of story, how it moves episodically and deals with the characters trying to unravel a mystery, as well as having a hopelessly complex plot that's ultimately unimportant." And then they also called it an anti-plot. That's the Coen brothers, not me being critical.
It's about vibes, man. It's not about plot.
I want to punch my screen.
Because I ask about, I think the violence and the threat of violence comes from that Chandler-esque style, the Chandler-esque nod. And I think that's where a lot of that comes from, sort of these early, I'm not a huge Chandler fan. It's like 50s, 60s, underbelly LA kind of mysteries, where people wander about LA and meet different people.
Right.
And so I see that. I think that's where it comes from. And as far as the plot, it's interesting because I've also heard interviews with them where they say the plot is kind of secondary. That being said, if you've watched it enough times, and I would say it's about like the 3rd or 4th watch, the plot actually really works. And I mean, I am almost a Lebowski nerd light compared to some of the way people get into this and the way they rewatch some of these things, because they are making up all kinds of conspiracy theories that like the dude is actually the Big Lebowski's illegitimate child, and all, I've heard some of the, and I don't like to go there because I'm very happy with the text as is. But yeah, I mean, if I describe the movie to you like this, if I was going to take a Chandler-esque noir mystery set in LA in the early 90s, but instead of a hard-nosed detective, it was a burnout whose best days were as a hippie in the 60s and 70s, who's now stoned for like half the movie and trying to solve the mystery with his Vietnam veteran, highly irritable friend. It's kind of a great context. So I don't know. Does that intrigue you at all? Does that make you want to watch?
It does. But so I just did Veronica Mars on this podcast. And I don't know if you've ever seen that show, but I really enjoyed it. And then my guest, Sloan Just, shout out, said, well, it's noir. It's imitating noir. That's why it's darkly lit and why she's, sitting outside creepy places spying on people. And it didn't hit me that it was noir. But when she said it, it was like, oh, that makes total sense. It is
Right.
built that way. The plots do, like you said, driving around, meeting strange people, getting little breadcrumbs to feed your plot. But it lacks this simmering violence. That's the reason I've never seen Fight
Mm-hmm.
Club. I don't, and why I've never watched The Sopranos. I have a lot of hangups about violence
Mm-hmm.
and the threat of violence in my day-to-day life.
Right.
I don't mind Jason Voorhees running around killing camp counselors because it just feels so far-fetched.
Right.
Or I know it was his mother. Don't
Yeah,
come at me.
I was just
But-
gonna say, I mean, it wasn't really him in the first.
That, right. Those things don't bother me because it's like, well, okay, that's not going to happen. But something like bumping into John Goodman's Walter, I should say Walter. It's not
Yeah,
John Goodman. He's one of my all-time favorite actors.
Yeah.
But if you bump into Walter in a grocery store, does he go apeshit on you and beat you up?
Right.
That's the scary stuff I don't like to face.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, yeah, though there is definitely, yeah, I guess I've never thought about it actually entering my own personal life because it hasn't come up for me, but I certainly see that. I mean, to me, it's interesting. I always find it odd that they chose to set this movie when they chose to set it. And it was made in 1998, but they chose to set it in 1991, which is like,
it's a weird...
how many movies have been set like in the past, but like early 1990s. It's very odd. And I have...
Well, they did start writing it. They started writing it before Fargo, and then they put it on hold,
Right.
wrote Fargo and did that, and then came back to it from what I read.
Which might be the
so
reason,
maybe
yeah.
they started it in 92 or something.
Yeah, maybe. I always come back to there's a lot of references to the fact that they're about to enter the first Iraq War and the potential threat of violence there. And I'm always trying to grasp some meaning out of that because it's like literally the first thing you see in the movie after you're introduced to the dude, drinking half and half, is George Bush the first one? Yeah, right. Don't do that in your spare time? Is George Bush the father talking about entering Iraq? And I've that always bewildered me as to like, why is that the setting? And I kind of wonder if that maybe does enter into sort of this larger context of this looming violence that they're about to enter into, that everyone sort of has on their mind. But
well, and it's where Walter lives. He lives in this ready to fight mode all the time. And I forgot about the Iraqi thing, but I would get the sense that he would sign up if he could. Like he should be at war all the time.
Right.
That's, where his anger would be best served. He should not be in a grocery store
or bowling alley
with me
or a cafe.
Or literally anywhere in the world. He should always be in the battlefield. That feels like maybe, so maybe he was being triggered by his desire to get back out there and go back to war. And that's why he's so triggered all the time. Yeah. Again, brilliant performance.
Brilliant. I mean, iconic.
It's too scary for me.
Yeah.
It's
how many times have you watched the movie?
Yeah. Once a million years ago after it came out and everyone loved it. And I was like, okay. And I hated it. And then I watched it the other day.
Okay.
For the podcast. So I have always said, ugh, I hate it. I don't get it. I don't know why people love it. So that's where I stood.
Right. Well,
I don't know where I stand.
Well, I think I kind of remember the very first time watching it and thinking, wow, his performance is really abrasive. And this character is like, I can relate to some of those feelings of like it being scary. He's pulling a gun in a bowling alley. He's like the awkwardness of yelling in a neighborhood, smashing a car, the awkwardness of yelling in a cafe, about Vietnam. But on subsequent watches, as I watched it again and again, I found the subtlety in in his performance, in some of the words. I think it's worth noting that part of the reason I love this, it's a beautifully composed like love of language. You know, in
Mm-hmm.
in the 90s, we have this string of films that are all about like over talking, over like this, like using fancy words, nomenclature, things like this. You know, so just a couple examples: Reservoir Dogs,
Mm-hmm.
Swingers, Dazed and
Mm-hmm.
Confused, Clerks. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably forgetting some Pulp Fiction.
Glenn Ross. I mean, I would add like the
Yeah,
Mamet stuff.
yeah, exactly. And I think
By the way, Mamet pays
yeah.
me $1 every time I mention his name on the
Can I get
podcast.
in on
So
that? Is that um um
absolutely 50-50, my
uh
friend.
and I think this is sort of this movie is a kind of a culmination of that, because some of the words they're using are amazing. Coitus, it's just, and I love that. I've always loved language, so that's an easy in for me. But to me, it's part
Right.
of that same canon of all these sort of bizarrely talked out movies that are just rich with dialogue. And I think this is sort of in that canon too. And I think that it really helped me get past some of the violent nature of Walter as I started to understand his context
Sure.
in relationship to the dude. But but I see that. I mean, it wasn't really possible to like second, third, fourth watches, you know?
Yeah. I mean, what's the most famous line is the dude
Mm-hmm.
abides,
Yeah.
right? That abide
Yeah.
is such an
Yeah.
interesting word there. It's not, it's,
Well, and did you notice that?
you
So,
know,
do you, when you watch, and I mean, it might be tough. I've only seen it twice, but like, there's a lot of parroting going on. There's a lot of borrowing,
mhm.
and
Oh, yeah.
this is what makes the text really rich for me to return to. Is there's a lot of like, I'm pretty sure he steals that line, "The dude abides," from the Big Lebowski, when the Big Lebowski is saying, "I will not abide," some, you know, some line earlier,
Oh,
and the dude keeps doing that throughout the film. He'll hear something and then he'll kind of
uh-huh.
parrot it back, and he's not the only
Yeah.
character. There's multiple characters doing that, but there's stuff like that that makes it really rich. I don't know. Do you notice that kind of stuff when you're watching, or is it that a little too buried?
I didn't notice that
Mm-hmm.
in particular. I did several times pull a quote and write
Uh-huh.
LOL. I was so grateful for the humor because I don't find it
Mm-hmm.
overall funny. Like, I don't, maybe I'm just uptight. That's probably what it is. I don't find the dude
Mm-hmm.
funny. I find him sad
Oh.
and depressing, and the way he lives is gross. And, you know, I don't find him amusing. But when Walter says, "You want a tow? I
Uh-huh.
can get you a tow." That's
Right.
hilarious to me. That dark, twisted, like he could and he might. And I think stuff like that. Some Chinaman took it from me in
Right.
Korea, right? That's
Yes.
racist. Am I correct? There's those things I
Right.
can laugh at, and I was grateful for those true jokes
Right.
that were written
Right.
in.
So you don't find his sort of half stoned trying to figure stuff out, sort of the things that keep happening to him, you don't find that funny?
I don't. And there are these movies and books and things, the classic Alexander and His No Good, Very Bad,
Mm-hmm.
Horrible
Yeah.
Day or whatever it's called. I tend to roll my eyes at like, really? Another thing is happening on the same day. It's I don't know why I'm so
Mm-hmm.
married to reality. That's part of what I'm trying to let go of on this nerd journey is like, yes, we don't get into outer space wars,
Right.
but I'm
Right.
trying to enjoy them because they can be massively entertaining and you
Mm-hmm.
can get invested. But like the third or fourth time the dude is shoved into a car against his will or whatever, it's like I get like, ugh, really? Again? Not a knock on Jeff Bridges, who I think is really
Mm-hmm.
wonderful in this role and does his job perfectly.
The way he plays the dude, and there's something hilarious about his sort of unawareness and his stumbling through, which partly is it's funny, we talk a lot about the weed, but this is not a stoner comedy. You know, this is not Half Baked. It's just like it happens to
Mhm.
feature weed smoking, but there's something about he like so captures myself or people I've known that are really high or really stoned and that are just smoking so much that they're sort of like waking up to reality as it's happening, that I find very funny. Um, and then he has these
Mhm.
like odd principles and ideas that seem to carry through, even though they don't make sense. Like for example, when he's being like dragged from one limo to the other limo, and he's like, "Careful, man, I've got a beverage here." It's like as though the idea that he's being dragged to a limo is not the issue, but that they might spill his White Russian is like, I find that kind of hilarious. That
Right.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or when he's handed the ransom note and he's like, "That's a bummer, man," is kind of I just find that really really funny. And then there's also sort of there's this hapless sensibility, when he is, for example, his apartment has been broken into, I don't know, 2-3 times, and so he decides to put the doorstop there, but he doesn't realize the door opens out, not in. And then
Right.
and then when he comes back a day later, forgets it's there and trips over it. And I just find that all that very very well planned. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
enjoy that part of it.
Which I get. It's, sometimes, like, I'm not saying for one
Mhm.
second, this is a bad movie. It's no Buckaroo Banzai. Sorry, Pete. But this is a good movie. And I get
Mhm.
why people love it and find a million nuanced things to obsess over. I understand that. It's just
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
my sensibility. Like, I have a weird delineation, and a lot of people in my life, your wife included, will say like, wait, you like that? Because you have a whole thing about
Mhm.
violence, but you love
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I don't know why. I love Pulp Fiction. I don't mind the brains being blown out in Pulp Fiction, but Reservoir Dogs
Mhm.
was like a little
Mhm.
too much for me. Same filmmaker, same sensibility, and yet here I am like, ooh, I can't watch Reservoir Dogs ever again, but I do love Pulp
Well,
Fiction.
what do you think the difference is?
I think humor helps so much. And, like, I just remember that moment in Pulp Fiction when they accidentally
Right.
blow
Right.
the
Famous.
kid's brains out.
Yeah.
Frank, what's his face? And of course, there's a part of me that's like, oh my God, that's terrible. I should turn away. But it was so shocking, and the reaction to it was so funny that to me,
Mhm.
it's like hilarious. And I
Right.
don't mind the guts
Right.
all over the car. And I don't mind. It's like, why am I okay with that?
But
But
not well. I mean, Reservoir Dogs.
yeah, but not Walter screaming at
Right.
this child and be like, that was all like, no, 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 no. He
Right.
didn't physically harm Larry, right?
Yeah.
He just yelled at him a lot. And it made me so
Yeah.
deeply
No, I mean, I
uncomfortable.
can relate to some of those feelings on the first watch, and they just, for some reason, simmered down on multiple watches. And now when I see it, it feels so
Mhm.
harmless. But what were some of the scenes? What were some of the moments you did find funny or did like that connected for you?
Probably the thing I liked best about this movie is the music.
Oh,
I
so
think
good,
it's
so good.
perfect. And when they're in the bowling alley and I heard some weird mariachi start and I was like, wait a minute. Is that Hotel California I'm hearing in that mariachi version? I, oh man, that is good use of music. So I was thrilled with the soundtrack and where they used it and how they used it.
T-Bone Burnett.
Um yeah, I know.
This is pre Oh Brother Where Art Thou, which really kind of brought him to prominence when he did that
Uh
soundtrack.
yeah, he was listed not as the music supervisor, but under the music supervisor, I think, in the credits. Because I saw his name and I got excited.
Uh-huh.
But
Oh, in the interview I watched, they credit him as doing it,
okay,
but maybe he didn't have the title or something.
I don't know. Um, I mean, so that, the music was incredible. There are many, many, many moments I really love. Anytime Philip Seymour Hoffman's on the
So
screen,
good.
love. I love certain things, then they take a weird turn and it feels weird for weird's sake. And I get annoyed. And I find Maud to be that throughout.
Oh, okay.
I don't get Maud.
Uh-huh.
Is she English? Is she from Brooklyn? Why is she naked? Why is she like, I don't get any of that.
Okay. Okay.
Do you want to explain it to me?
Sure.
Because Julianne
Yeah.
Moore, by the way, one of my favorite actresses of all time.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think
I
this was
love this
just
performance. I think it's so great. I guess she made up the accent, and it's supposed to like mirror some sort of weird, like proper boarding school she might have gone to or something. So Um, I love her performance. It's like it's because it's like borrowed from noir, but it's also this sort of she's part of this high society that's like somehow existing in LA, but it feels like it should be in New York. Um, the actual
There's a Warholian feel to like
yeah.
her artists.
So
Yeah.
they based her character off of an artist that they met in New York who is part of the Fluxus movement, which was basically
I said you could swear, but watch it.
so
what's it?
Fluxus. I did write something down about it. I was not that familiar with it as well, but I did. It was the I think it was in the 70s, and it was this idea of art also being a performance. And I guess they did really meet a painter who would paint like that, like, and
like
paint
suspended
naked,
over,
sailing over the canvas, and I think that's where they got the idea for it. But I think it adds like a rich. I mean, I just love the idea that she wants to have a child, but she doesn't really want to have to run into the father socially, which is why she's picking the dude, and it's just like such a, I mean, obviously it's really dark on its face, but if you step back from it, it's really funny. Like the idea that like, well, it'd be so awkward to run into the father, I just think that's really, really great. I think from a movie perspective, these noirs always have to have, that love interest or sort of dark female who's slightly involved in the case somehow. So I think that's kind of how it fits in. And I just think they found a really funny way. I mean, I remember like probably the first time I laughed at this movie. This was my first watch, was when he's drinking his White Russian and she says it increases the chances of conception, and he spits the drink out in the spit take. I mean, that was like probably my first laugh.
Well into the movie.
Yeah. On my first watch, because I didn't like it. I didn't like it on my first watch.
Well, I liked when she's watching the porn. She's like, the story is ridiculous, is ludicrous. The story is ludicrous. But I also
quickly on that though, when she says the story is ridiculous, and she's like, you can guess where it goes from here, and he says he fixes the cable. Did you not laugh at that moment from the dude when he says that?
In all honesty, I was typing the note of like when Maud is watching the porn and she says, quote, so I probably missed that next line.
I'm a bad person. Because that's the moments I find him the funniest, where he's like so honest and almost bordering on naive, where he's, he's like, you can guess where it goes from here, and he fixes the cable. I just find that so hilarious.
Julianne Moore, one of my favorite actresses of all time, is on 30 Rock and does the worst Boston accent I've ever heard. And it's painful to watch one of your favorite actors not be able to do something like a Boston accent. So this was also triggering because I'm like, oh, there she goes again.
Right.
She's so good. Don't do accents, Julianne.
Right.
Just don't.
Yeah, that's a fair critique.
It was inconsistent too. It wasn't like, oh, she made a choice and I didn't quite get why she sounded a little British. It was inconsistent for me. Yeah,
for me, I think it was like she clearly went to some private boarding school that was very expensive because her parents wanted nothing to do with her, and she was also maybe borrowing from a little bit of like the way people look in noir, with that sort of older sensibility. But
I didn't think boarding school, but you might be right. You're right. You're always right.
Oh, it's great. I should come on this show more often.
Yes. This is when I get like, I feel like Jiminy Glenn. Okay. So when I was watching the movie, I thought, why bowling? There's so much bowling in the movie.
Yeah.
Am I missing some allegory or meaning?
You didn't get that?
Or was it budgetary constraints that they were like, we could just put them all in the same shot as they're watching the bowling, and that's going to save us a ton of money?
Maybe. I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, I guess my question is, outside of the why, do you think it works to have them in the bowling?
I do.
Yeah.
Because it's a realistic hobby or passion for them all. And you could see that they could meet there every other night. And that all makes sense. Although I didn't quite understand Jesus's role. Like, he doesn't factor in. He just is. He licks a bowling ball.
I know. It's so filthy. But
Oh
that's how
my
you're
God.
supposed to feel
But
about
I
him.
didn't,
That's how you're supposed to feel about it.
right. I didn't quite understand why he's in the movie though.
Yeah. I mean, I like they said, the plot is sort of secondary and it's kind of vibes.
Mm,
And he's like this bad guy that they're gonna have to bowl against, but we're not, it's not really about the bowling. Um,
right.
I don't know why the bowling. I will say I've never seen bowling look so good. Um,
Yeah.
I think my ideas are, the Coens like to go into these worlds, these little slice of life, sort of eccentric worlds, and find interesting characters within them. And to me, it's that. It's like, hey, here's this bowling league in LA. It's not hard for me to imagine. Like, there's some
Hmm.
pretty crazy characters with some interesting histories in a bowling
Right.
league in LA, you know. Um, and here's a bit of their slice of life. Um, there is a little bit of philosophy in there with some of the bowling. There's a lot of sort of, there's kind of a nod to, I've tried to find like a larger meaning to this film, and there's some sort of tension between sort of the nihilism and then Walter's whatever that is, that's got to be the opposite of nihilism. And there is that tension always seems to be like simmered down in the fuck it, dude, let's go bowl, in terms of like, you know, do we care about life? Do we get worked up about things in life, or do we just let them be? Or, and the dude abides is very much like, well, I just want some balls at pins, and it's pretty fun. But yeah, I don't know why bowling. I just know that I love just the sound of the bowling in the movie. It's so
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And just the way they shot, I mean, the camera that looks like it's gone inside the bowling ball. I mean, the look of
Yeah.
this film is just so gorgeous. And they just found such an interesting way to bring the bowling to life.
I agree it's gorgeous. It just doesn't
Yeah.
serve a purpose. And I don't know why I'm obsessed with like everything needs to fit into this puzzle to make the picture.
Right.
But why the Busby Berkeley number?
Yeah. They just wanted to.
Why?
They just wanted to. So,
Yeah, see, that's unacceptable to me.
well, there's a little bit more to it. So in Raymond Chandler novels, there's always a moment where, your detective gets clubbed on the head by like some, whatever that is, or slipped
Bad
a Mickey.
Nefarious
Right.
character.
And
Yeah.
there's always a moment where they got
Yeah.
clubbed or slipped a Mickey, and they kind of hallucinate or get knocked out or black out. And so I think they just wanted to do that. And then I think they were like, hey, this is our chance to do a Busby Berkeley number. And it's like, why not? I mean, I think the first time I saw that, I was like, what? Why? And then I kind of just came to love it because I think the song is so perfect. And it's just kind of him projecting out all the different things, Saddam Hussein giving him bowling shoes, and, all the different things. But yeah.
I wouldn't know the nod to Raymond Chandler from that, but
Right.
it makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah. I think they just wanted to do it. I think there's a lot of stuff in that where they're like, hey, what if we made it look like the camera is inside the bowling ball? Let's just think of a reason to do that. I think there's a lot of that. And they were just like, let's do it.
I agree. And I read that it's been called pointlessness as the point.
Yeah.
And what it said, and of course, I'm getting all of this from the experts at Wikipedia, but it said the plot itself is a tangled mess, but that's the joke. The dude just wants his rug back, and the film celebrates his simple desire against a backdrop of absurdity, making its meaning its own meaninglessness. Fuck you. That's, again, not my,
yeah. I mean,
not where my sensibility lies, but
I would be curious, and not to go make you watch it again, but I would be curious to like have a subsequent watch. If you would like watched it and then watched it again pretty quickly after that, or within a certain amount of time, to see if you, I don't know, but if you would find some of the pieces and the buried pieces, like, oh, I didn't notice that before, or I didn't hear that before.
I'm sure.
And that to me, I love a rich text, and so that kind of,
it's layered.
Yeah, but as far as like a larger meaning, I don't know. I mean, there are certainly people that will tell you it's there. I mean, they have whole conventions.
But they're admitting it's not.
No,
right? The Coen brothers
They're
are
not. Yeah.
saying it's not
Yeah.
there.
But
Right. So to me, it's like unwrapping a Russian nesting doll and there's nothing in the
right.
middle. Like
Right.
it's, what are you
Right.
doing to me? Why do you have me working so hard for no
Well, for
reward?
me, it's about the journey. It's like
I know that it should
it's
be.
as though like unwrapping a nesting nesting doll was really interesting or something. But so this made me think.
No, you're
Did you
right.
like A Serious Man? Oh, you did.
I
Okay.
didn't see it.
Okay, because that was the Coen
No.
brothers film for me that I was like, wait, what did I just see? And I felt like it was all sort of like kind of this very rich movie, a lot of details, but it didn't. It. I was like, what did I just watch? Why did I just watch that? It didn't. It felt very empty in the
Right.
end.
It is how I feel, and this might make me just a really shallow, not deep thinking person, and I'm okay with that. I don't enjoy modern art. I don't enjoy walking through a museum and cocking my head at like it's a red blob on a wall, and I could have done that in my sleep or naked suspended over something or whatever. Like but I do love impressionists. When I can see, like, look how her hands look so real, and you could see the veins, and oh god, that gets me excited. I'm not a Coen Brothers person. I loved Fargo, and you mentioned Raising Arizona. I think I watched that whole thing with that like I'm smelling something bad look on my face. I didn't like Big Lebowski. I don't know which other ones I've seen, but I don't think I'm gonna keep diving into them. They're not my sensibility. Although I think they're genius. Again, this is not a knock on them.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, what I like about the Coen Brothers films, I think, is there's no, sometimes when you like watch a movie, it's like very clearly, this is the beginning of the movie and this is the end of the movie. And when I watch their films, it feels like you just happen to be dropping in and it's your beginning because it's where it's starting. But like, it feels like that movie existed before you got there, and that timeline existed before you got there, and it continues to go on after you got there. And I love that kind of richness.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing I find in their films where the world feels so rich, the characters feel so rich that it feels like it's not contained to just the screen.
I agree with you that they create such rich worlds, and that is ultimately so nerdy. World building.
I love world building.
Like, yes, and that's a very nerdy thing, and I do appreciate that. I can't explain it. I can recognize that opera is an art form, and people who can perform opera are really talented. But it's not my jam. I don't get into opera. But I would never say opera's stupid. Like so that's my thing about the Coen brothers and about a lot of filmmakers who tend to make tense, violent, bordering on nonsensical things.
How do you like the world building in Pulp Fiction?
I love it.
And
it's a similar world. It feels like, people driving around LA getting into trouble and it's so there's no hard and fast rule.
I wonder if there's you're sort of like lacking sort of someone to latch on to in terms of relatability.
In this movie, for sure. Yeah. And maybe it would be someone like Donnie, and then you know what happens to him.
Right.
I love John Goodman's speech when he sets him out to sea. It's really heartfelt and beautiful and funny. And then when the ashes blow back on the dude and he doesn't even flinch, he's like, yeah, that's what I could see this coming. I love that moment. Like there are so many really smart, funny, interesting, dark moments like that made me LOL as I write in my notes.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, I have a fun fact.
Okay.
Pete, could you play that fun fact sting? Mike Tyson bit off Holyfield's ear right around the same time they filmed this. Chicken or the egg?
I was wondering this exact same thing.
Right?
And this is actually, we could figure it out by just looking and seeing what year that was. But
I did. It's the same year that they were filming this in 97, and that's the year Tyson bit off his ear. So I'm thinking I don't know who comes up with that. It's so gross and so awful. But Mike Tyson actually did it around the time they were filming.
Right.
So
It's such a great fun fact. I mean, I have to imagine Tyson is the original, right?
I would.
Do you think Mike Tyson's sitting at home and being like, "Oh, this is a good movie." This big, I can't do a Tyson impression, but
please don't.
You know, but he's like, "This is a good idea." Like, can't be that. That can't. It has to be. You know,
and let's hope 2 different sets of people in the world didn't come up with that idea. Let's just hope it was Tyson, and then the Coen brothers were mid-typing one day and thought, "Ooh, we're going to do that."
Yeah,
we're going to use that.
I have to think. Other fun facts. Can we talk about some of the guests, the like small appearances of just iconic people in this film? Like,
yes, we can.
Yes.
Wait, Dave, and we can talk about other actors that were considered in Close.
Okay,
which
sure.
is one of my favorite topics. Yeah. But I'm going to do my business first because I like a tease.
Okay, great.
So here we go. Make Me a Nerd is a production of True Story FM, engineering and production by the peerless Pete Wright. My theme song is Wonderstruck by Jane and the Boy. And you can find me on Instagram at Mandy_Kaplan_Clavens, both with K's, or on TikTok at Mandy Miscast. And please, if you're listening on Apple, leave a review, 5 stars. Let me know what you're thinking. If you have ideas for future episodes, if you're digging this stuff, and if you're feeling extra supportive in the new year, please go to makemeanerd.com/join, and hitting that button will get you your episodes ad-free and early, and my eternal gratitude. Okay. Cameos.
Yeah. Do you want to go first, or should I? Or tell me who you saw, who you were like, oh wow.
I can't think of any. I didn't write any. I mean,
okay,
Tara Reid, but that's not a cameo.
Tara Reid as Bunny Lebowski.
Yeah.
This is pre American Pie. This is like early Tara Reid, which I thought was interesting.
And it's about all she can handle.
Right.
Do you know Charlize Theron was Close?
I did. And I think, what do you think? I actually think it's kind of better with Tara Reid, but what do you think?
I do too, because you could just hate her.
Right. Yeah.
You don't have to get too deep and think, well, maybe no.
There's no complexity to it.
You just hate her. Yeah.
Flea as one of the nihilists.
Yes. And Amy Mann.
Yes.
That felt like a waste to me.
So I'm trying to remember, what year was Magnolia? Because that was her big sort of moment when she had her music started to really.
The music.
And I was like, she's in like one scene as the person whose toe it is, and that's it.
Yes.
And so I was like, was she trying to be an actor, or what was the?
That was 1999. So it felt like she was throwing your friend into a movie.
Yeah, maybe it was just that. Yeah. What are your feelings about Peter Stormare?
If I ever saw him in real life, I would run the other way. Has he ever played a nice guy?
Oh, I don't know.
I can't see why. He's so good and so intriguing. He's an actor that makes me lean in.
Right.
Like, ooh, he's in this? I got to know more.
Right.
I love him.
Fun fact, I actually did see him in real life. He was going up Runyon Canyon.
Selling wood chippers.
Right. I just think he's such an interesting character actor, because he's like, and so often playing German or Nordic, characters.
Is he not in real life?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I thought he was not, but maybe he is.
Oh.
Maybe.
I don't know. But yes, I don't think of him as American.
Right. Yeah.
I read David Cross almost played Brandt.
Oh my gosh.
He would have been great.
I mean, this is a pretty iconic Philip Seymour Hoffman performance, and he brought so much to it.
Correct.
But I like that as well. That would be fun.
And as the Big Lebowski, have you ever seen the list of actors they tried to get?
For the actual Big Lebowski or the dude? Yeah. Okay. No, I have not.
Actual Anthony Hopkins, Robert Duvall, Marlon Brando, who all turned it down for various reasons. And then the list goes on and on. Tommy Lee Jones. Like, if you look, I feel bad for David Huddleston, who's like, do you have to make this so public that I was the 75th choice for this part?
He was fantastic. So we recently watched It's a Wonderful Life with the kids. And I was like,
Oh,
oh my gosh, like the blanket over the legs. Like, is this the, I'm going to blank on his name. The bad guy from It's a Wonderful Life. Did they model his character off that?
probably. But also the blanket over the legs just feels like a noir,
Yeah,
old-timey
maybe.
thing. And then Ben Gazzara. Okay, we are wrapping up here, but we need to talk about
Sure.
Ben Gazzara for at least another 45 minutes. Do you have a memory of a commercial for orange juice in the 80s or 90s where they were like, that's TV actor Ben Gazzara, and he appears in the kitchen? Do you remember this?
I do not.
I looked it up and I couldn't find it. If anyone remembers this commercial, please reach out on Instagram or TikTok, or if you know me, text me. Ben Gazzara! And the kids are all excited, and it was so random because he's such a tough guy.
Yeah.
And he was just like, what's up, kids? And it was so...
Drink your juice.
Yes, and I couldn't find the commercial.
Oh. Well, that would be a great find. From porn mogul and tough guy to orange juice drinker and aficionado.
Yes. I hope I have not upset you that I didn't love the movie.
No.
I mean, you didn't create the movie.
No, I have no financial nor creative incentives in the movie. No, I can understand why you don't connect to it. But I'm happy to hear that there were scenes that you still laughed out loud and still scenes you thought were funny. That's nice to hear. And I think that I will say, if you have a spare 2 hours on your hand rewatching, there are so many little buried treasures in there that it's just a very rich film in that way. Like the scene where they drop the bowling ball when he says, "What is this?" and he goes, "I guess you're not a golfer," is like borrowed from The Long Goodbye when they pull out the bowling shoes and he's like, "What are these?" and he says, "Baby shoes." It's like it's all parallel, which by the way might be the reason they went with bowling, because in The Long Goodbye he's got these gold bowling shoes, and I wonder if they
Long Goodbye?
The Long Goodbye is a Raymond Chandler movie. Novel that was turned into a movie with Elliot Gould in 72, 73. And it's kind of similar, and he kind of wanders around and meets people, and he's sort of aging hippie, maybe detective. So anyway, no, but which is all to say, no, you have not. It's been fun to reminisce and to talk about all the wonderful things in this movie.
Yay! Everybody, if you're going to buy books, please go to bookshop.org/Bloomsbury. Is that correct?
Yes.
And get your bookstores local from wonderful people like Dave and Meg Isser.
We have Raymond Chandler novels if you want to delve in.
I'm sure you do. Dave, thank you so much for doing this. This was so much fun to get to spend a whole hour with you without kids and distraction.
I was just happy we had a reason to get the kids out of the house.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thank you, everyone listening. Until next time.
Bye.
Welcome to the official Deaf Crocodile podcast. I am Ryan Verrill, and every month I am joined by the owners of Deaf Crocodile themselves, Craig Rogers and Dennis Bartok, as we share the stories behind the restorations, the acquisitions, and the special features behind these restored home video releases curated by Deaf Crocodile. Not only will you find episodes where we break down the announcements, but we will also be sharing audio commentaries from the home video releases themselves so that you can listen on the go. Proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.